When things are difficult, sometimes hope is hard to find. Welcome to KTSY's Moments of Hope, a coffee house series featuring people from our community choosing hope when things are at their worst.
How do you choose hope? Well, for me, when you hit rock bottom, you got nothing left. It's a good time to find something better than what you've been doing, and a lot of hope comes when you finally hand your life over to Christ and change your world. I grew up as a kid. I grew up in a house. There was a lot of drugs, a lot of violence. Watched my dad try to choke my mom out in the kitchen. Just wasn't a good home environment, and mom left, and then it was just me and my sister and my mom, and she was working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet, so she wasn't home, and I was just kind of a rogue kid at that point, just getting my sister up and ready for school, but mom was gone and didn't have a lot of parenting, and you tend to drift down the wrong path when that's the direction you're going, and I commend her for what she did, trying to put food on the table and clothing on our back and everything she did for us, but when you're just kind of left to your own demise, that's where you end up, and I grew up angry, mad was a big one, mad at the world. I didn't have any hope. It was just, why me? My life pretty much sucks, and some of these other kids have got it great. And I fought a lot, got into drinking, got into doing other things, never got into drugs. For some reason, drugs and alcohol were 2 totally different worlds, when reality was they're probably the same thing. Got married, wasn't a very good husband. One night we got in an argument, and I grabbed my wife's phone out of her hand, and learned real quick that in the state of Idaho, if you grab somebody's phone, that's domestic battery. And because my children were home, that was domestic battery in the presence of a child. I went to jail that night. I was done. I was done with the marriage. There'd been a lot of hurt. I was finished. But anyway, that was my rock bottom. I spent the night in jail. Got out the next day, looked at myself in the mirror, and just about puked at what I saw. Just a miserable excuse of a human being. And it was, from that point, I started going to church, and it was right towards Christmas Eve, and I was at church, and the weirdest thing happened, that I swear the temperature in that church dropped 20 degrees, and just every pore in my body stood up, and I just felt this cold wind blowing through the church, and all I could hear was God saying, "You're exactly where I want you to be at this point in your life." And it was about 10 seconds, it just disappeared, and like the room warmed right back up again. And then 2 weeks later, I was back at church again, and I felt the same thing again. And at that point, it was, okay, here's what I've been missing. I couldn't, the rest of my life, I couldn't drink enough, I couldn't fight enough, I couldn't hurt enough, and there was a big empty hole in the middle of me, and for the first time, I felt like I had hope, and it was someone was gonna fill me up. And the best thing about it is, my girls will never know that world. That whole generational thing has stopped, and they won't know that any longer. And I just recently got married to a wonderful, wonderful Christian woman. My girls have bonded with her, and life's pretty good. But it took hitting rock bottom and laying in a cell with 15 other guys for a night to realize that this sucks. You've hit the bottom. There's one way up, and that's Jesus Christ. I would have to say the hope that I held on to through all the ups and downs of my life and through the transitions is probably that God never promises it'll be easy, but He always promises there will be a way. And if you follow Him, He'll get you there. It might not be the way you want. Most time, and believe me, I've argued more than once, and I've lost every one of those arguments when I try to just agree and we're gonna do it my way, and He just keeps making it harder and harder until I finally relent and say, fine, we'll do it your way, but that's not how I want to do it, just so we're clear here. And then we end up doing His way. It's amazing how much easier it gets when you finally just surrender and let it happen. You would think I'd quit doing those arguments, I promise you, but there's still times in my life I'm like, I don't want to do it that way. Oh, this hurts, let's just keep trying harder. And then you feel like I gotta give up. Sometimes I'm not a very quick study.